Hey guys, is your KLR rough to start or occasionally backfires when you try to start it in the morning? Well, stay tuned. I'll show you how to check the valve clearances and also make adjustments. So here's what we have to do. We have to make our way to the top end of this motor. We have to get to the valves and eventually underneath the valve so that we can get to the shims. This is a KLR 650, so it's got 29 millimeter shims. To do that, we have to work backwards. So we have to get these plastics off, get the seat off, get this tank off, which eventually allows us to get to the valve cover, get that off. We have to loosen the chains and then get the cam holders off and ultimately get the cam gear. I'll show you how to do all of that. Alright guys, congrats on making it this far. For our next steps, we'll start tackling what we need to get this valve cover off. It starts with removing this fan and its fan cover that's going to hang about here. On this side, we have to remove the coil, the sensor, this line, and then afterwards we'll be able to remove it by removing these 1, 2, 3, 4 valve cover bolts. Let's go. We are now ready to take the valve cover off. We've loosened these 4 bolts. Let's take it off and let's go. Here's our valves. This is the exhaust and intake side. Next, we take these covers off and get the engine to top dead center. We are only going to spin counterclockwise. We'll be peeking through the top hole. There's 3 lines. It's the I, F, and then T. We want this notch to line up with the T. Okay, now that the T position is at the sight window. I doubt you'll be able to see it, but you'll see a T right there. We have the valves exposed. We're going to be checking the cams. Let's go. Let's show you guys how to check. Let's show you guys how to check your valve clearances using feeler gauges. The spec on the intake side is 4 thousandths to 10 thousandths, I believe. So what we're gonna do is we're going to start with the 4 thousandths clearance. Let's check that. Okay, that goes pretty easily, so that's good. Let's check the 5. 5 goes in. That's good clearance there. Let's check the 6. 6 goes in, and the 8. Looks like the 8 does not go in, so I'm going to consider that valve to be at 6 thousandths. We're going to repeat that for all 4 positions. Just make sure you keep track of what's registered at each one. You'll have an intake left and right, and an exhaust left and right. I'll show you my results. So after checking all of them, my intake sides are both within spec, since the spec's from 4 to 8 thousandths, so we're okay there, 5 and 6 thousandths. My exhaust side, my right cam is out of spec at 5 thousandths because this is between 6 and 10. So that's the shim I'll have to take a look at, which makes sense. I'm getting a bit of backfire, which means my exhaust valve is staying open too long. So I'll show you how to take that apart. Okay, let's take these covers off. Make sure you watch out for the bushing snap. Next step is to remove the timing chain cover. Starts with 1 bolt here and 2 bolts back here. I like to mark with 3 dashes where the timing chain is. It makes it a lot easier to do when you put this back together. Next is this cam chain tensioner. First step is to remove this back bolt, then these 2. Oh, wrong tool. Once we're up to this point, the tensioner is removed, the chain is pretty loose, we can remove this shaft. These are your shims, and the easiest way to get to them is to take a magnet and pop them out like that. These are your shims. So, I've got my shim here. This shim is a 275 shim. 275 shim. That's 2.75 millimeters. That's producing me 5 thousandths clearance. There is a KLR 650 shim calculator. So when I ran that, it shows that I need a 2.70 shim, and that would get me 0.007 clearance, which is well within what we need. So I now need to go get this shim in 2.70 millimeters, and that'll get me the right clearance. Now that I have the right shim in place, I'm just gonna put everything back, tighten it up, and check the bike. We'll check the valve. Now that we have everything assembled on top, it's not torqued, but everything is assembled. I've got the chain, the timing chain cover on, the tensioner on, the 2 cam holders back on. What I'll do is I'll take the motor, I'll spin it a couple times, get it back over to top dead center. I'll check my valve clearances to make sure everything is seated right. I've got everything into spec. So I'll do that right now and I'll get back to you guys. Okay, I spun the motor about 6 times. I checked my timing. My dash marks are in the right position, so that's looking really good. I checked my valve clearance. So let's take a step back. I had a 5 thousandths clearance, which is out of spec. The spec is 6 to 10, and that was a 275 shim. I know it's a lot of numbers, but here we go. I then put in a 270 shim, which is 2.7 millimeters, and that yielded me a 7 thousandths clearance, which is right where the calculator said it would be. The left side was at 6 thousandths with a 265 shim. I put in a 260 shim, and that yielded me 8 thousandths clearance. So my exhaust side is right on the money when it comes to valve clearances. Now I'm just gonna go through, put everything back the way it was, and then we'll take it for a fire up and see how it performs. So as you can see, the bike is back together. The bearings, the tank, the seats, all back where they're supposed to be. Let's give her a crank to see if our valve adjustment did what it was supposed to. Well, there you go. Before it was hesitating and it was backfiring occasionally. Looks like we've solved that problem. It starts right up. That engine was ice cold, and now it looks like she's ready for the road. As you can see, this job isn't that hard, but it's also not that easy. I would rank it right in the middle as far as difficulty. You'll need a few specialty tools. You'll need a torque wrench. You'll need some sort of scraper to get your gas. You'll need a scraper to get your gasket cleaned up. Besides that, it's just the 8, 10, 12, and 14 millimeter and a good flashlight. And I think you guys can tackle this. Do be prepared. Since it's a shim, you have to either have a shim kit or have a resource to get a shim kit, or have a resource to get shims nearby. So be prepared. You're gonna have to get in your car and go get the right shim, because you don't know what shim is in your bike until you open it up. Lift underneath, take out the shim and look underneath to see where that shim is. So thanks for watching, and see you guys soon. Bye.